It is week 1 of the fantasy playoffs, and if you're tuning into this episode, odds are you need to know who to start at running back. I am Shaun Moran, solo pod today here. Welcome to the Regression to the Mean podcast. On today's episode, we are discussing the top 42 running backs for week 15. I can't believe we made it all the way to week 15. Feels kind of surreal, but it is time to win or go home. It is the best time of the fantasy year. We are in week 1 of the playoffs. If you are new to our ranking show, first off, welcome. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And secondly, I have ranked the top 42 options at running back, and I've broken them into 6, 7 tiers or so. I'm going to take you through each tier, share my thoughts on most guys. If you have any specific questions or comments, feel free to drop them in the comments of the video below. Always happy to help with start sit decisions. And each tier is time-stamped. So if you care more about, like fringe RB2 types, like should I play Ezekiel Elliott this week, etc., you can reference in the notes of this episode where to find Zeke, listen to the blurb on him broken into each tier, right, as an example. If you want to reference these rankings, the rankings that we're going to be screen sharing here for this video, you can find them in the description of this video. All right. I am juiced, but before we dive into today's episode, just want to give a quick shout out to our friends over at Chalkboard Fantasy Sports. We've been playing the Chalkboard's picks game. It's amazing. It's super similar to Prize Picks. It's similar to Underdog, but you can win up to 100x your money, right? So simply by choosing more or less on the projected stat lines of your favorite NFL players. But what makes them super unique is the fact that you can take alternate lines. So, for example, this Thursday night, the Chargers are playing the Raiders. Easton Stick's playing. Keenan Allen's not. We think that Austin Ekeler is going to see a ton of receptions. So you can go over to Chalkboard. You can take Austin Ekeler's reception total from 4.5 down to 3.5. And then you think Easton Stick's playing. He might be mobile, backup quarterback, whatever it may be. Max Crosby is probably going to be in his grill a lot. You can go ahead and find Max Crosby's sack prop at half a sack. So if Max Crosby gets a sack and Austin Ekeler gets over 3.5 receptions, you are looking at a 2-to-1 payout here. We love Chalkboard. This is our Chalkboard slip of the week for Thursday night. Hop on. We'd love to win with you. If you're looking to sign up for Chalkboard, promo code RTM, up to $100 in bonus bets. Free money. Come on. You put in $50, they'll give you $50 back. You can make 4 or 5 different slips this week with it. It's a great time. You got to pay for some Christmas gifts, right? Come on, let's go. Let's ride. Chalkboard Sports, promo code RTM. Week 15 rankings. All right, let's get into it. Top 42 running backs here. So starting things off, not much has changed here. This seems to be kind of the consensus of where I rank a lot of these guys. I've got the top tier of guys this week at Christian McCaffrey, Kyren Williams, Austin Ekeler, and Bijan Robinson. Before I dive a little bit further into this tier, what you're looking at here, I have an expert consensus rankings. So this is Fantasy Pros rankings and where their expert consensus of up to 60 experts lives and where they're ranking people. I have my rank next to it. Then I have the player, the team, who they're going up against, my difference versus expert consensus rankings. I then have the opposing defense running back rank, running back points per game average. Then I have their expected fantasy points rank for the past month and their fantasy points rank over the past month. And then I've put that into a regression score. So all of this gives me an indication of where I would rank these guys based off of matchup, usage, production, and regression. So this is how I bake all of these projections. Again, if you want to reference this, in the show notes of this episode, you could find this sheet in the description. Okay. Christian McCaffrey, Kyren Williams, Austin Ekeler, Bijan Robinson. This is my top 4 here. McCaffrey's the king of fantasy football. I don't know how you couldn't have him at 1. Kyren Williams, elite usage and elite production. The number 1 in fantasy points per game over the past month. Number 2 in usage. This is a blow-up spot against a bad Washington defense. I've got Austin Ekeler here at 3. He's a positive regression candidate. Really strong usage last week. I think he's going to see a ton of targets with Keenan Allen out. And then Bijan Robinson. This is a dream matchup for Bijan. I've got him one spot ahead of expert consensus rankings. Carolina is a terrible rush defense. The only person that could fuck this up is Arthur Smith. Please don't do it, Arthur. Come on, I'm begging you. The next tier guys that I have here, Jahmyr Gibbs, Zack Moss, Tony Pollard, Saquon Barkley, Rachaad White, and Alvin Kamara. That is running backs 5 through 10. So here is this tier, and this tier is where I think I deviate a little bit from ECR. I've got Jahmyr Gibbs and Zack Moss way up versus Fantasy Pros. Jahmyr Gibbs is going up against Denver. Denver's given up 71 receptions to running backs this year, which is sixth most. They have been the friendliest defense to running backs all year long. I don't care if Jahmyr Gibbs doesn't get the goal line work. He has the more valuable role right now in that offense. I think he's a big play away from really having a massive day. Running back 6, Zack Moss. So he's a major positive regression candidate. He has RB12 usage over the past month with RB40 production. He had multiple goal line carries that he didn't cash over the past couple weeks. Pittsburgh has gotten gashed by Zeke Elliott and James Conner over the past month. I feel very confident about Zack Moss, and I've been ranking him lower than expert consensus rankings over the past couple weeks, but I think this is the time to get very confident about Zack Moss before JT returns. Tony Pollard, RB7. Strong wins are in the forecast here in Buffalo, so it could force Dallas to lean heavy on the run, which could mean big-time usage for Tony Pollard. Saquon at running back 8. Saquon has seen insane usage over the past month and really, really good production. He's been very efficient since Tommy Cutlets. Saquon has actually been super efficient since Tommy Cutlets has taken over. I was looking at his stats. He has 4 receiving touchdowns. I don't know how sticky that is against New Orleans, but Saquon is rolling right now. And then 2 guys that I have down low against expert consensus rankings, Rachaad White -5 and Alvin Kamara -8. Rachaad White, I absolutely love Sade. But he has RB11 usage and RB11 production against the 9th best matchup for running backs. I feel like RB9 feels right for Rachaad White. And then Alvin Kamara, copy and paste for Rachaad White. It's basically the same story. And so the next tier that I have is kind of a wide-ranging tier, and it's tough to get a real read on this whole entire tier, but I definitely think they all belong together, in my opinion. Running back 12, Devon Achane. Running back 13, Raheem Mostert. Running back 14, Breece Hall. Running back 15, James Cook. Running back 16, Joe Mixon. Running back 17, Travis Etienne. And running back 18, King Henry. So Achane, Mostert, back-to-back. Mostert's been undeniable this season. League leader in rushing touchdowns this year. Is running super hot in efficiency, and so is Achane. I think this is a juicy matchup. I think the weather is not projecting to be super great in Miami, very stormy. I think this plays very well into the fact that the Jets have a run funnel defense, meaning that they suffocate wide receivers on the perimeter, but get beat by running backs in the run game. This is a juicy matchup for those two. I'm very excited to play both of them. Breece Hall, he's kind of just surviving on checkdowns. He has the RB7 usage, RB13 production over the past month. I think he's going to continue to see a lot of checkdowns. James Cook, I've got him 5 spots ahead of expert consensus rankings. Kind of put my head on a neck, put my head on a limb here, neck on a limb here, because he's going up against Dallas, which is the 3rd toughest opponent against running backs. He has the RB13 usage and the RB4 production over the past month. His pass catching usage is insane. I feel very good about James Cook. Joe Mixon has had a tear over the past month. 3rd in usage, 6th in production. It's a brutal matchup against Minnesota, though. Is the magic going to run out for Jake Browning? That's kind of the question here. Travis Etienne, major positive regression candidate. This run game's been kind of a mess. Got him at RB17. And then King Henry. He's a negative regression candidate, scoring a ton of touchdowns. If this is a positive game script, though, meaning are the Titans winning, Derrick Henry's going to have a big role. The next tier guys that I have here is running backs 19 through 26. Running back 19, DeAndre Swift. 20, David Montgomery. 21, Javonte Williams. 22, Zeke Elliott. 23, James Conner. 24, Jerome Ford. 25, Jaylen Warren. 26, Najee Harris. So DeAndre Swift, really poor usage over the past month, but this feels like a get-right spot. Seattle does not have a good front 7. Swift, maybe they get him going. Maybe that's how they kind of get their offense out of a rut that it's been. Running back 20, David Montgomery. He's a major negative regression candidate. He's very touchdown dependent, But this is a bad rush defense. Now, they have tightened things up with Denver, right? They're playing Denver, who is the friendliest matchup to running backs this season. So definitely think David Montgomery has a good opportunity here, but I'm high on Gibbs, not that high on Montgomery. Sometimes you just have to make a stand. I'm going to take the high upside rookie instead. Javonte Williams, kind of a tough matchup against Detroit. I don't know, 27 production. He's got the RB 27 usage, RB 29 production. It is what it is. Ezekiel Elliott here. So this matchup against Kansas City isn't fantastic. They've given up 17.7 fantasy points per game to running backs, which is the 18th friendliest here. Look, Zeke went off. He went 7 for 70 and a touchdown through the air. I don't think that's sticky game over game. But he has the 15th usage and the 15th production. So he has a good role, and he's playing well within that role. I don't see anyone challenging him for touches. I don't know, though. This kind of feels like a get-right game for Kansas City. Zeke was not good on the ground last week. Jerome Ford kind of is what he is at this point. RB 24 usage, RB 23 production. And then Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris. This is a great matchup for both of these running backs, but your guess is as good as mine for how it shakes out. For what it's worth, Warren has had better usage over the past month. Next tier, guys, here, running back 27 through 32. I've got Chuba Hubbard, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jerick McKinnon, Ty Chandler, Kenneth Walker, and Bijan Robinson. So Chuba Hubbard's played really well, but this is just a tough matchup against Atlanta. Hard to bench him if he's like your flex. If he's your RB2, you're probably pretty happy with 18th usage, 16th production. It really feels like Carolina is dead set on just feeding Hubbard. They don't really want to force Bryce Young to be in obvious passing situations. But Atlanta's been great against running backs, so it's tough. Edwards-Helaire and Jerick McKinnon, your guess is as good as mine. I don't know if Pacheco's playing. I would lean on the fact that he isn't playing. He did not practice on Wednesday. They said he avoided IR, which makes me think it's a 2 to 3 week absence, probably 2 weeks. Ty Chandler, this is a solid matchup against Cincinnati, but this run game stinks. He has not been very efficient for how much people want to pump his stock comparatively to Alexander Madison. RB 37 usage, RB 44 production. This run game is just not very good. Kenneth Walker, RB 31. Tough matchup. Tough matchup. And he has RB 45 usage, RB 50 production. Rough fall off for Kenneth Walker. He started out the season hot. And then Bijan Robinson, is he going to play? Is he not going to play? I don't know. Next tier of guys that I have here, running back 33 to 37, Keaton Mitchell, Antonio Gibson, A.J. Dillon, Devin Singletary, Kareem Hunt. Is this the week that Baltimore unleashes Keaton Mitchell? I don't know. I'm down on Mitchell comparatively against expert consensus rankings. They have him at 27. I have him at 33. I think he's shot out of the cannon and good, but RB 45 production, RB 50 usage over the past month. I don't know. This is a three-headed committee, but I have him as the preferred option in the committee. A.J. Dillon, does Aaron Jones return? I don't really know. Devin Singletary, he mostly plays in negative game scripts. So I saw Scott Barrett at Fantasy Points. He broke it out. When the Texans are winning, Dameon Pierce plays more. When the Texans are losing, Devin Singletary plays more. This is a decent matchup against Tennessee. This might be a Davis Mills game, though. So I don't know if I'd feel great starting any running back in that situation. Then Kareem Hunt. Jerome Ford's the preferred option. I would not be starting Kareem Hunt at this point. Next tier of guys here, Dante Foreman, Gus Edwards, Tyjae Spears, Zach Charbonnet, Chase Brown. Dante Foreman's someone I could move higher up here. I've got him 4 spots ahead of expert consensus rankings. He's the clear-cut number 1 right now in Chicago. RB 41 usage, RB 42 production. This is a decent matchup against the Cleveland front that has gotten pumped up a ton. Cleveland's defense is good, don't get me wrong, but you can run on them a bit. So he could score a touchdown. I think this game's going to be closer than people think. Gus Edwards, he's just trending downward. This is a pretty good matchup, though, against Jacksonville. Tyjae Spears, absolute baller. I think he should get more touches, but it'd be very hard to start Tyjae Spears right now in a playoff game. Zach Charbonnet, Chase Brown. So Zach Charbonnet's playing in a brutal matchup, and Chase Brown is a super intriguing rookie. Looking through this list, I think the guys that I'm most excited about this week have to be Gibbs, Zack Moss, Austin Ekeler, Etienne. Love James Cook comparatively. And then guys I'm down on, I guess relative to expert consensus rankings. Alvin Kamara, Travis Etienne, Derrick Henry, David Montgomery, Devin Singletary, Keaton Mitchell. I don't think any of those guys are bad plays per se, but I don't get why they're ranked so high, in my opinion, based off usage and matchup. But that's it for running backs. Again, if you have not had a chance to subscribe to the Regression to the Mean channel, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button. We're coming to you 3 to 4 days a week. We do rankings for running backs and receivers. We do streamers. We do recaps. We do waivers. We're on Twitter. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. You know what to do. At RTM Fantasy is where you can find us. I am Shaun Moran, normally with Keegan Thompson, Aiden Holler. They're not here today, so I'm holding it down on the solo pod. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If you have specific start-sit questions, you know what to do. Drop them in the comments below. Thank you for tuning in. Till next time.